Hey friend, come here. Pull up a chair. Pour yourself something warm. Tea, coffee, whatever calms your soul right now. Turn off every notification, because we're about to have one of those rare, unguarded conversations that usually only happen when the rest of the world is asleep. As a Jewish man who's already carried these years well past 70, through seasons of unbelievable blessing and seasons of such darkness, I sometimes wondered if light still existed. I've asked myself this same aching question more times than I care to count. Why does life insist on being so relentlessly, unforgivingly difficult? You wake up with decent intentions. You try to act with integrity. You put in honest effort day after day. You treat people the way the old teachings say you should. And still the world finds fresh ways to slam you against the wall when you're already bruised. It isn't always spectacular catastrophe. Often it's the slow, grinding erosion. Colleagues who take credit for your late nights. Friends who vanish the moment you need them. Family members too wrapped in their own pain to see yours. Opportunities that evaporate for reasons no one bothers to explain. After enough of those quiet betrayals and indifferent silences, a hard truth lodges itself in your chest. Most people, most of the time, are simply too preoccupied with their own survival to truly see or care about yours. The world isn't actively malicious toward you. It's just not personally invested in your story. I'm not sharing this to leave you hopeless or bitter. I'm sharing it because the exact moment I stopped pretending otherwise was the moment I stopped bleeding out waiting for rescue and started building something unbreakable inside myself. Have you felt even a whisper of that shift yet? That quiet, stubborn turning from why me toward what now? And how do I make it count? When I was in my 20s, young, idealistic, full of that bright certainty only youth can carry, I truly believed the universe operated like a moral ledger. Be honest, people will be honest back. Work harder than anyone. Rewards will follow. Help others. Help will return when you need it. It felt almost sacred, like there was an invisible hand keeping score and eventually balancing the books. I held on to that belief like a talisman through early struggles. But reality kept taking it apart piece by piece, slowly at first, then with brutal efficiency. I partnered with someone I'd known since we were boys. Shared secrets, shared dreams, shared years of trust. When the business hit rough water, he quietly drained the accounts to fix things, then disappeared without a word. I waited weeks, then months, for remorse, for repayment, for any sign he remembered I existed. Nothing came. I helped lift people who later walked past me like strangers once they reached higher ground. I poured heart and years into ideas that died not because they were flawed, but because someone with more connections or less conscience moved faster. Each loss chipped away at that childhood faith, until one day I looked in the mirror and saw a man who no longer expected fairness. My grandmother, barely 5 feet tall, survivor of war, hunger, forced marches, used to sit me on her lap and say in her thick, weary Yiddish, "Kindle, the world doesn't promise you tomorrow's bread. If you want to eat, you learn to bake, and you guard the oven with your life." She wasn't cruel. She was kind, in the only way that survives. The day I finally let her words sink from my ears into my bloodstream was the day I stopped waiting for the world to be just and started making sure I could stand no matter what it threw. Have you had your own version of that moment? That painful, liberating instant when childish expectation dies and something tougher, quieter, more reliable is born in its place? I call these lessons Jewish survival wisdom, because they weren't pulled from modern books or motivational speakers. They were whispered over Shabbat candles, told in low voices around kitchen tables after pogroms, carried in the memories of people who lost homes, families, everything, and still found ways to stand up the next morning. My father, my uncles, the old men in the synagogue who'd seen too much, they all carried the same unspoken message. The world can turn cold, indifferent, even cruel, but you don't have to freeze with it. This isn't polished believe-in-yourself encouragement. This is trench knowledge, hard-earned, blood-tested, refined through generations of having to rebuild from ashes. Today I want to hand you 12 concrete rules that pulled me, and many others I've known, out of pits I thought were bottomless. These aren't feel-good affirmations. They're practical moves, some born in victory, most carved out of defeat, loss, humiliation. And here's my promise. If you stay with me until the final word, you won't just hear 12 rules. You'll start seeing your own battles through calmer, clearer eyes. You'll feel the inner shift from victim of circumstance to quiet commander of your own path. Ready to stop asking the world for permission to rise? Then let's walk this road together. One honest, battle-worn truth at a time. Rule number 1 is the cornerstone everything else rests on. Stop waiting for rescue. No system, no institution, no friend, no relative, no divine intervention timed to your schedule is required to pull you from the fire. I learned this in painful increments, each one costing more than the last. The deepest scar came in my early 30s. I'd built a small wholesale operation from literal nothing. Nights without sleep, savings scraped together, dreams shared with a partner I'd known since we were teenagers. We finished each other's sentences, trusted each other like brothers. When cash flow tightened, he said he'd handle some urgent matters to keep us alive. One Tuesday morning I walked in and the safe was empty. He was gone. No note, no forwarding address, no apology. I waited. Weeks turned to months. I waited for guilt to bring him back, for justice to intervene, for anyone to care. Silence answered every plea. That betrayal didn't just break trust, it shattered the last illusion that someone else would always catch me. I rebuilt alone. Smaller at first, slower, far more careful. From that day, I stopped delegating responsibility for my own survival. It felt isolating, almost terrifying, until I discovered that solitude is just freedom wearing a heavy coat. When you accept that you are the rescue squad, disappointment stops being a surprise and starts being irrelevant. Where in your own story are you still quietly waiting for someone to see your struggle and step in? What would shift inside you if you decided, right now, that the only hand you're truly waiting for is your own? Rule number 2. Treat every hour as though it's the last one you'll ever get, because someday it will be. In my 30s and early 40s, I gave away years without blinking, pointless meetings that circled like vultures, friendships that only drained, hours lost to television and scrolling to avoid facing my own thoughts, endless waiting for the right moment that never arrived. Then one quiet Thursday night, I sat with an old calendar and actually calculated the cost. The number of months I'd handed to things that added zero value made my stomach turn. Our sages understood this better than anyone. The day is short, the task is great, the workers are lazy, the reward is abundant, and the master is urgent. In plain language, stop wasting the one thing you cannot replenish. I began treating every yes like a withdrawal from a bank account that never gets refilled. No to drama I didn't start. No to people who only appeared when they were bored or broke. No to habits that numbed pain without healing it. When you start protecting your time with the same ferocity you'd use to protect a child, strange and beautiful things begin to happen. Focus becomes laser-like. Energy returns in waves. Real opportunities appear because you finally have bandwidth to recognize them. Look honestly at the last 7 days. What stole your hours that you would fight to reclaim if you could turn back time? Start drawing the line today. One deliberate no can change the trajectory of years. Rule number 3. Stop treating pain and failure like personal attacks. They're not punishments. They're the most expensive and effective teachers you'll ever meet. I've lived through enough rock bottoms to recognize the pattern by feel. Lost businesses that took my identity with them. Lost savings that left me counting change for bread. Lost health that made me wonder if I'd see my grandchildren's weddings. Each collapse felt final. Like, this time the story ends here. But every wound carried medicine I couldn't have swallowed in comfort. After one especially vicious financial betrayal, I spent months in white-hot anger, replaying every conversation, fantasizing confrontations that never happened, letting resentment eat my sleep. Then slowly, painfully, I began asking different questions. What blind spot did I ignore? Where did greed or fear override my judgment? How do I build safeguards so the next hit doesn't level me? That pain didn't just hurt, it sharpened instincts, forged iron boundaries, accelerated recovery time. Discomfort is tuition for wisdom no classroom can teach. The people I admire most aren't those who never fell. They're the ones who learned how to use the fall to launch higher. Think back to your own darkest chapter. What unexpected strength, clarity, or skill Did it force out of you that comfort never would have demanded? Rule number 4. Master the art of holding two truths in tension. Mind stays razor sharp for calculation. Heart stays wide open for connection. I've watched both extremes ruin lives. I once let pure rage cost me a fortune, signed away rights in a contract I barely read, just to prove I wasn't afraid. Head boiling, heart boiling, catastrophic. On the other end of the spectrum, I've known men so coldly rational they ended up trusted by no one and loved by fewer. Our tradition has always insisted on balance. Be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. When you can map 3 moves ahead while still acting from genuine care, you become almost impossible to outmaneuver or outheart. You're strategic without becoming ruthless, compassionate without becoming weak. Where in your current decisions is emotion drowning out reason, or cold logic suffocating your warmth? That single moment of awareness can save you years of regret. Rule number 5. Arrogance locks doors. Curiosity unlocks every room. Learn from literally everyone. I used to believe wisdom only lived in prestigious places. Rabbis with long beards, professors with degrees, businessmen with private jets. Life delighted in proving me wrong. I once received advice that saved my entire future from a half-drunk taxi driver at 3 in the morning. I was pacing outside his cab, frantic about a partnership that smelled wrong. He watched me for 30 seconds, then said in thickly accented English, "Never dance too long with someone who needs the music more than you do." That one sentence stopped me from signing my life away. Even people who dislike you can mirror your flaws if you're brave enough to look. Stay humble, stay awake, stay open. Who's someone in your orbit, maybe someone you've dismissed or even resent, that might be holding the exact insight you need right now? Rule number 6. Stop treating errors like capital punishment. I've committed enough of them to fill a library. Catastrophic investments, misplaced trust, words I can never unsay. Each one felt like the end of my story. But every mistake is a high-resolution scan. It shows precisely where the structure is weak, so you can reinforce it before the next storm. I stopped concealing my failures and started dissecting them like a coroner, coldly, methodically, curiously. That habit transformed me from someone paralyzed by fear of being wrong into someone who almost welcomes being wrong, because it means I'm on the verge of a breakthrough. What's one mistake you're still carrying like a life sentence? What would shift if you pulled it out, studied it without shame, and asked, what strength is waiting to be born from this wound? Rule number 7. Passion without a map is beautiful, but usually futile. Turn yourself into a strategist. I've watched brilliant, driven people burn out and drift because they lived on it'll work out energy and good intentions. I began treating my future like a chess grandmaster treats the board. Short-term tactics, medium-term campaigns, long-term vision, contingency plans, worst-case exits, risk-reward calculations. Not because I'm cynical, but because I've seen how fast the game can change. Strategy doesn't kill spontaneity. It kills stupid, avoidable disaster. Where in your own path are you still reacting moment to moment when a few deliberate moves could multiply your odds tenfold? Rule number 8. Never sell your integrity for any price, but never leave it exposed like a raw nerve either. I was raised in a home where a man's word was more valuable than gold. That value is still my spine. But the world taught me the painful second half. Honest people are the first ones targeted. I learned to be truthful without being transparent to everyone who asks. Share what builds real connection. Protect what predators would weaponize. Boundaries aren't betrayal. They're reverence for the good you carry. You can remain a person of honor and still play intelligent defense. Have you ever paid dearly for wearing your heart too openly? What small boundary could you establish today that safeguards your goodness without closing it off? Rule number 9. Treat continuous self-investment like oxygen. Stop breathing and you suffocate. I've watched gifted people turn resentful and irrelevant because they stopped being students somewhere in their 40s, then got lapped by 20-somethings who never stopped asking questions. Every single day offers a chance to become slightly less killable. Learn one new skill, read one hard page, ask one uncomfortable question, fail at something deliberately so you can study the failure. The greatest compound interest in existence is the interest you earn on yourself. What area of your life, mental sharpness, physical resilience, professional edge, emotional depth, Have you allowed to rust that could explode your possibilities if you gave it oxygen starting tomorrow morning? Rule number 10. Run toward resistance instead of away from it. Shortcuts glitter with promises of speed and comfort, then abandon you in a ditch miles from where you need to be. I chased quick wins more times than I'd like to admit. Hype-driven schemes, charismatic promises, overnight success stories. Every single one extracted a higher price than it delivered. Authentic progress is slow, unglamorous, repetitive, often boring, and permanent. Hardship is the filter that separates the temporary from the enduring. Where in your current journey are you still flirting with the smooth path when the steep one is quietly calling your name? Rule number 11. You rise or sink to the emotional and intellectual average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I've seen extraordinary minds stay mediocre because loyalty kept them tethered to chronic negativity, envy, small thinking. Curate your circle like a gardener curates rare plants. Keep those who read at 2 a.m., who cheer your victories instead of resenting them, who tell you the truth when it stings, who lift when you're down. One genuine builder in your orbit is worth 50 who drain. Look at your current 5. Who are they? Do they expand you or shrink you? Who needs to be gently moved to the outer circle, and who deserves to move closer? Rule number 12, perhaps the most vital of all. Never surrender hope. I've sat in rooms where every exit appeared sealed. Finances obliterated, health crumbling, relationships in ashes, future erased. In those moments, hope felt like a cruel joke. But hope isn't denial of facts. It's defiant insistence that the story isn't finished yet. Jewish history is one unbroken testament to hope. Enslaved, scattered, hunted, murdered, and still writing, still building, still believing the dawn would come. Hope is what gets you out of bed when despair says stay under the covers. It makes plans when logic says surrender. It tries one more time when experience screams enough. When was the last time your situation looked objectively hopeless, and hope quietly, stubbornly proved it wrong? We just walked through 12 rules forged in real fire. Rules that turned a man who kept getting crushed into a man who learned to use the weight as training. No rescue team is on the way. Time is burning fast. Pain will arrive uninvited. But so will growth. So will victory if you fight intelligently and persistently. Don't try to adopt all 12 today. That's a recipe for overwhelm. Choose the one that landed heaviest while you listened. Apply it once, clumsily, imperfectly, right now. Notice what shifts, even slightly. Then tomorrow, do it again. That's how unbreakable lives are built. One small, stubborn, intentional choice stacked on another, until the old version of you feels like a distant memory. If any part of this reached inside and stirred something, anger, recognition, quiet fire, renewed hope, please hit the like button. It helps carry this message to others who are fighting silently. Subscribe and turn on notifications. There's more coming. More raw stories from a long, messy, beautiful Jewish life. More practical survival tools that still work in 2026. More ways to turn the world's indifference into your personal forge. Drop a comment below. I read and answer everyone. Which rule cut deepest? Which feels impossible right now? And which one feels like a door cracking open? Who are you sending this to because they need it too? Let's keep building something real together. You're not weak for feeling every ounce of the weight. You're strong because you're still here. Still listening. Still willing to carry it differently from this moment forward. Take gentle, fierce care of yourself, friend. I'll be right here when you're ready for the next conversation. Talk soon.